The Child Graves by Andrea Dworkin. It opens with two quotes. The first is from Henry Miller to Francis Goffling. Imagine having nothing on your hands but your destiny. You sit on the doorstep of your mother's womb and you kill time, or it kills you. You sit there chanting on the doxology of things beyond your grasp. Outside. Forever outside. And the second is from Sappho. I am paler than the grass. I am intimate with dying. Stream. Running water. In the prose of my tongue. In the twisted places of my gut where my whispers rise as flesh, where my tongue stalks its velvet hiding place. To which stream did I turn when they asked my name? No name, no name, no stream rolling its blue inside of the wind. No lilacs turning under the roots of the water, lilies, no crabs washed between the grains on the bank, no mud rolled thick on top of the blood ants armed behind the leaves. No name. No name was only dried up cunt, raw flesh, bare feet, and torn jacket, my mouth drinking its own saliva and shedding its own blood as I turned to myself. My body faded from my view and my hair connected to my scalp, dead, wrapped itself between my thighs, and the poetess danced with soft feet on my belly. No sun either, no moon, no dark, no light, only the empty sound of my no-name, echoing its no-name, ramming its no-name against the echo of my cunt, so that when I called myself, I did not answer. So that when I called myself, there was no way to answer, because I was lipless. And my cunt spoke the sound of no words. There were no stars. At least I did not see them, unless one can consider the holes in my chest caverns in which the stars hid. There were no stars. And it was only my whisper, my muted suggestion of the possibility of pockets of light which dug them into the pores of my chest and filled up my holes, about the water which ran under my feet until the bottom flesh walls were saturated, and then it pushed itself up, layers of flesh until it reached the bending parts of my ankles. I bathed in it, and I excreted in it, and the holes of my skin shot their semen in it, into it, and it was only the roses which grew in the mounds of my breast that saved me. There was the pain, the dagger, his reply, his tongue, reaching into my gut and slicing up my belly so that his juices shot up my throat and formed puddles and then torrents under my toes, his dagger, his monster stiff and rippling from underneath, and ripped the substance of my insides, wrapped itself inside of me, and emptied its own blood and no name into myself, secreted its animal waste, rooted its tailed animal into my blood-moistened passages, and what was left but the residue of mutual sweat that watered my pubic hair. I sucked his cock, sucked it to eat the liquid of his hands. Its juice made me strong and vital. It fed my thickening gray youth and contorted my unused flesh. It tangled itself into my holes in my teeth and rested in oceans under my tongue and inside my gums, and when I could bathe my fingers in it, let it flow under my fingernails. Let it wet the palms of my hands, smelled it, touched it, ate it, excreted it into the fields where it fed plants and suckled dead bodies, took it into me, through my mouth where I could cherish it with my tongue, where I could imagine it, in my ears and in my stomach hole, where it could flow almost the full length of me and water my body plant where it was mine and where nothing could grow. Even when he shot me, a deer rejected it, said, "No, its flesh is not your flesh. It is only your flesh that I will eat. I am the hunter, and you are the hunted. I will devour your flesh alive and beautiful." I saw him. The road at the dump, where the refuse lay piled, where the stench of human bodies was covered by the mold of human excrement, where my dead children were buried and floating in the thick tissue after birth, where I had my children, squatting legs open, where my child had fallen from me, where my child first rolled his head in the earth and ate of its dust, so that the earth between us, around us, under us, felt the weight of the stillborn child. Almost to compensate, he offered me his urine. He cupped his hands. The liquid burned inside. I fell on my knees. He brought his hands under my mouth, and my tongue fell out, and in ecstasy I drank of his cock. He tended the roses that grew from my breast. He tended the roses that grew from my breast. He tended them with care. They were watered with the saliva from his mouth and the salt water from his eyes, and it was only when in anger that he tore them from their earth and bathed his hands in the resultant blood I took my child back to the house, carried it wet in its afterbirth, and his juice mixed in the spit of my hand, laid it next to the candle, and burned its closed eyes and the cord which tied it to me, and felt the fire climb up the undersides of my legs. I cut it with my teeth, arose from my breast and planted it in the child's ear, and slipped it between my thighs. I brought it first into the house, the shack, the hovel, the dung pit, sides burned, wooden and brick rooms, dirty and cold, tables bearing stale bread and green cheese. The stale bread and green cheese fed our nightmares. The wind lived in the center of our rooms, the vermin were rooted in the windows and doors, and the dung pit opened its mouth and fed on the soot from my child's burned body and over its body. I said the litany over its body, the words were laid over its body. I held the green litany and chanted the green death until the hoary monsters stole my cup from out the night. And senseless bored me up in chains, they penned me up. I was animal, teethless, bloodless animal, refused to excrete on their floors, to suck their cocks of their whores, their angels, my whores, animal, who tasted one wafer of sainthood from behind their iron bars and from under their iron bodies. My child was inside of me then, mixing with the river of his dagger, breathing, swallowing, vomiting, the Avenger's water. My child was inside of me then, digging his unmade claws into the bank of my placenta, digging his unmade claws, digging his unmade cock into the walls of my gut, was inside of me, then running his head into my flesh and ramming his feet into my slime. I fell on my face, licking the floor. I fell, my body stretched out. I fell, my full weight, on the concrete of their floors, and ripped my child's head open. He came back to see the child I had death to give him. I wrapped it up in pretty pink toilet paper, made a bow from ribbons of my shit, blew the heat of my breath on his neck, and burned it into him as he lay on top of me and rode my body into his night. What shapes the dungeon wore? What shapes, what colors, what smells the dungeon wore? My spirit smelled like green slime. The trees grew blood arms, walls executed murder and urine. The tongue stalked in search of the golden ass. Their angels tried to cut my roses, tried to pull them out by their roots. Their angels tried to slice off my breasts and drown me in the blood of my chest. I fought them off. I fought them off, calling roses dies for whores, and laughter fell off their own flat chests. They took my roses, and they took my breasts, and slept them deep again. Its smell, its stink, its touch, no breath, no laugh, no water in which to bathe my feet, no silence in which to grow my child, no wafers on which to feed my body. Where I was, smell, touch, feel, where was I? The dungeon, what longitude and latitude, what words spoke out their angel tongue? I sat under other bodies, near a crate of oranges and a pile of dung. I sat under other bodies, heavy rolled on top of me. I sat under other bodies, killing by their weight, and smelled the movement of my layers, and they called me nothing, because I held my muted cut silent in their dungeon. They took my roses, my breasts, my water, my silence, and they called me nothing. And the name was more ugly than my own, no name, no answer, and I stayed there well into their midnights, mounted me and limpened my body, and their hands worked my ass in between my legs, and they sucked me until I was sucked dry. He came to visit me, stuck presents between the bars, and they took them away. He pointed at the stump which used to be his penis and shrugged, and when they turned their backs, he crowned me saint under the hemlocks behind our house, crowned me queen, crowned me virgin, crowned me Socrates, and handed me the melted leaves. And I took the melted leaves and sucked them into my throat, swallowed and glowed and swallowed whoredom, and spread my ass to the warlocks who waited in their fiery red skirts and inverted cunts. And this time they spat whore, and this time the laughter came easily out of my face, and replanted rose seeds deep in my breasts. Whore, and the laughing was magnificent. Whore, and in return I heaved angel. And they were defenseless, and their anger was absolute, and in the red blood that swelled from their skirts I saw my own body, and it lay in the blood, so alone. When at last I came to the other side of the hill, it was not the drink that I wanted. Their waters wetting the stubs between my legs did not make my tree grow, and I had only the barest thirst for their liquid and their green, what had seemed before desirably, namely to dress my child in pink ruffled bows, namely to dye her burned hair yellow, namely to soften the calluses on her cheeks with oil, what had seemed desirable vanished when the sweat of my heat died down, and I was left alone. She was second burned on the same funeral pyre, conceived under the ocean blue of watery eyeballs and drowned in the fire of my smoke. He had loved her second. He had loved her, and he had nursed her, and he had nursed her on the ruins of his own feverish cock, so that I starved her of my milk and fed its cream to his mouth, and he, tiring of the child, drank. And when I no longer wanted to swim in their waters, I began to sleep their sleep and drink their juices, and to murder my eyes with their sights, to take my ears and dip them in their sounds, to tear the flesh from my feel. And this time, when I felt the kick of birth, I heaved my stomach. Where they had touched, I heaved my stomach like in a mountain, in quake, and vomited up the tissuey remains until my arms were bearing blood banners, and they implanted the signs on my forehead. The sign, a hole melting deep into the air. Behind me, a hole burned by a needle torch, a hole open to open my whole body to the soft things of my own flesh. I began my journey. With the marks on me, they had spread by now into my neck and chest, and I began my journey boiling in the heat of my own pus. I went out the door. It doubled, tripled. It was thick and it was steel. I buried a leaf in the crotch of my foot. I touched the animals in my hairs, and my flesh began to crawl with the falling of their dirt, until the rain began to fall, and made me thirst again for the thick, heavy juices that float the steel of his dagger. He called whore, 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 and his face wore their angel scars. I picked up their ashes. My children could cry to give them their ashes. I heard them cry once, tears to give them their ashes. I placed my hand inside the box, wiped my fingers in the ash, and made the mark on his forehead, made the mark on his forehead, made the ash mark on his forehead, and then on his chest, and then on his stomach, and then on his eyeballs, and then on his armpits, and then on the inners of his legs, and then on his thighs, and then on his womb, and then on his wallet of erect flesh I made the mark, and my own blood washed its edges. He had wanted them to lace my stomach with ditches dug by their fingernails, and yet, when I asked him to come with me, he came, and he sent me the stub of his flesh shrouded in a red rose, to pick the roses wild where they grow, in his armpits of ash, to pick the roses wild, to ash the wild roses, to pick roses wild ash where I tremble on the hidden ash where I tremble, 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 trembling in the rage, in the fuck. It was morning. It was morning inside and outside. It was morning and it was morning. It was drifted water. And the great mouth ate into the great flesh, ate into its dried up cunt, lipless, dried up cunt, ate into the great flesh, and the rage, and fuck, ate into the great flesh, and curled and cried, and dealt its hand, its breath, inside and outside. It was morning. In the morning, and the drifted water floated. Death mold with its green and dried up stubs, and its green death eyes, and its green death quiet, and its green death rage, and its green death fuck. And the breath dealt inside and outside the great body, and silence reigned inside and outside, and waves hammered and threatened and thundered, where black shells were hurled inside and outside, pounded and thundered and pounded, 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 pounded. The green death, and the mouth descended, fell its teeth, pulled its head down into the flesh, down into the river, down into the ocean, down into the downpour, down into the deluge, down into the tidal wave, down into the shaking and shivering and the black and green death of tidal waves and deluges and downpours and thunders and panics and earthquakes. It was morning, and it was drifted water, it was deluged tidal wave, it was ocean and fire, it was fire. Fire orange, it was red, it was yellow, it was mountains, it was blue, and it was smoke, and it was heat, and it was burning, and it was smoke, and it was heat, and it was burning. It was burning that burned inside and outside the great body. It was burning that burned into flesh. It was burning that burned into the pits and rolls and the mountains. It was burning that burned into the holes and the crevices and the pores and the 6-foot graves. It burned, it fired, it burned, and it burned into death. And into death, into fire, into cold and wet, into earth, into wet, into earth, into cold, into earth, into deep and dark, into earth, into mud, into sand, into green, into earth, in the fire of the earth, into its destruction, into its 6-foot grave, into its 6-mile graveyard, into its 6-year grave night, into its earth, into its dust, and sand and ash, into its earth. Its fire and the rage and the fuck. It punctured with fire, with juice, and it punctured the earth with liquid, and it punctured the water with saliva, and the 6-pronged teeth, death, punctured its saliva that burned into the hollow of its own 6-foot pronged green thing. It burned, and it punctured, and it drowned the groaning earth in its juices, and its teeth, and its 6-foot prong. It murdered through its juice, through the juice of its burning, through its burning. It murdered, it punctured, in the mold, in the rise and shift, and the waters rolled, and the oceans rolled, and plowed and furrowed, and the waters rolled and pounded and thundered, and the ocean, the waters rolled and plowed each other, untouched. She turned under. The earth faced toward me, under and away, and turned inside the fire, and the deep earth and fire bottom turned. The ocean rolled and pounded and thundered, and turning, it burned and dying. It scraped its cunt against the fire bottom, and its lips whispered ashes. I was in the house where I lived. I was in the house where I lived, under the trees, under the worms, under the funnels, under the roaches, under the grasshoppers, under the pigs' feet, under the Coke bottles, under the hoes and plows and bugs sprayed and seeds and roots and swellings and nails and hooks and dead and buried treasures. I was in the house, the cold and bare and empty house. The house, it was an empty house. I was in an empty house. Jasmine tea, Tetley tea, bags hanging, the walls limp wet, used, decorated in soft jasmine and hard Tetley. I was in the house where I lived with Mommy Bear and Daddy Bear and Baby Bear, where I lived with Mommy and Daddy and Baby, where I lived with Bear, where I lived underneath, where I live now, underneath Mommy Bear and Daddy Bear and Baby Bear, and under Baby Bear, where I wanted to talk to him, and make the words, make the sounds, to make the gestures, to enter the brothels and the caves, where silence lives, to form, to shape, to speak even, to explain in my soft voice, to talk words, to talk love words, poured out of my head, poured out of my forehead, poured out of my breasts, poured out of my hands, poured out of my belly, poured out of my thighs, poured out of my ankles, poured out of my lips and mouth, poured out of my hips, poured out of my spine, poured out of my whispers and my whisper and my groan and my hoarse and raspy tidal wave. We talked in soft love words. And my voices were soft, and my eyes were soft, and my belly was soft, and my cunt was soft, and the erection between my legs was soft, and my breathing was soft, my breath was soft. In the house where I was, I took my words, were taken, and laid them on his chest, rooster flesh. The dagger sandwiching his flesh took my words and painted them in the ashes of our dead children in the center of his broken womb. Our children are dead now, he said. Our children are died. Our children are died. Our children have death. Our children have dead. The burned one is dead. The drowned one is dead. And the buried one is dead. Our children are dead. Now he said they are all dead or buried. Our children are all dead or buried. Those that ain't dead is buried. Those that ain't buried is dead, and rotting dead, and rotted, buried, rotting, burns, they's all rotting, I said. Paint the rot into the ashes of our dead children, hidden in my wallet. hidden where my hand rubs the ashes, are in piles stacked in the corner of this house, in this room, where I live. Where I live, our children is as dead as they can be. Which ones is dead, and which ones is buried, which ones is dying, which ones is rotted. Painting the ashes of our children in their ashes, he wrote the crust of my flesh, he wrote the ashes, and he wrote our dead children, and the ashes were painted in the gut of my sweat. And he plowed me under, he sweated and machined his way into my ocean, into my ocean, into my fire. He plowed under my earth, and pulled my roses, ripped my ashes, pulled my breasts, tore, gouged, ripped, raped from inside, refused to have me alone. Baby, baby bear, seashore, baby, baby bear, lived in our house where I lived, where he plowed me under, drove, dived, machined, lived where he plowed and I died, where he plowed and I died, where he dived and I drowned, where he machined and I died, baby, baby bear, sunned and swam in my funnel, and sunned and swam in the ocean of my river, baby, baby bear, knew my blood. Its flow, baby, baby bear, knew the house where I lived, baby, baby bear, knew my blood, and its funnel my blood, and its dirt where she swam, she ate, she sunned, on its shore she knew its smell and its weight, she knew my blood, baby, baby bear knew my blood, she lived where I lived, in the house where I lived, she rode my waves home, she puked, pissed, shitted, turned under in my blood, in the thick of it, warm, in it, bloody in it, baby, baby bear. Sucked and drank and puked and nursed in the blood. Sunsets live and die inside of me. Baby, baby bear rose and died in the unborn sunsets of my blood. Baby, baby bear, she was blue. Baby, baby bear was blue on her head, and her dewdrops, her blue eyes, and blue nose, and blue mouth, and blue fingers, and blue arms, and blue legs, and blue knees, and blue toes, and blue fingernails, and blue tits, and blue cunt, and blue prick, blue in my house. I had my child in the house where I lived. Where I lived, blue child was born, born and untouched, unburned, unpolished, silver, bloodless, unsoiled, dirtless, undirtied. I had my unmarked child in the house where I lived, my baby blue child bathed in jasmine. Glory unto God. Glory unto God. Unto the childless God, unto the pure pink God, unto the God who is untouched. Praise be to God. Praise be to God. To the glorious, untouched God, untouched, undamned, false, dirty God that she is, praise be to God, that I am, that she is, damned to be what she is, and I, what I am, and I, what am I? She is that she is, rising, not rising in smoke and fire under purple blaze, purple skies, rising over purple horizon, and above purple earth she is that she is, rising, and rises. Teresa, beauteous Teresa, she is that she is, Teresa. Take back the whore. Take back whore, 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 the stink of you, whore, the sweat of your stink, whore, is not wanted, whore, is not want, not desire, whore, is not want. There is the whisper and the warmth, out there in the sticky nowhere, of out there. There is the whisper and the warmth, there is the sting of the whisper, the sting of the warmth out there, Teresa, out there. The secret night, and many nights, Teresa. She is mine, Teresa. What color is your mother's terror, Teresa? She is mine, and I will have her. She is mine, and she will be mine. Do you know the color of your mother's terror, Teresa? The terror, the panic, the tremble to know that midnight is out there, that midnight is where you are, Teresa. To know the midnight tremble of the sea hawk, To know the midnight lust of the weed, to know the midnight fire of the warlocks, to know the midnight blood of unmarched animals dipped in the red river falling from cunt and breast, to know the midnight baptismal, to dip the forehead in the midnight torrents. I am the abandoned child, who knows of its own terror, who has dipped himself raw, dipped himself peeled, dipped himself rubbed and skinless, dipped in the pink flow of his own rich lava. Teresa, Teresa, my child is dead. My child have died, Teresa. My child, Teresa. Death is come, Teresa. Death is what he is, Teresa. Death is now. And the now and the yesterday has touched every child's face. Death is come, Teresa, and calls herself the now, and the yesterday, and the terror, and the peace, and the soft, and the whisper, and the scream, and the fuck, and the rage. Teresa, you is whore, whore that stole my kid, whore that what milked her dry, whore what burned her flesh, whore what cut her ear, whore what drowned her dead, whore what held her nose, whore what dug her deep, whore what fucked her ass. Teresa, you is what you is, whore. Sometime, whore, Teresa, there ain't no lilies up your ass. Open it again, Teresa. Open it to me. Open it wide. The fields, they grow thick, they grow black. The fields, they grow mold. The fields, they grow fungus. The fields, they grow ass. The night of the first night, and the breathing is hard. And you roll side to side, front to back, to center. You roll inside of me and outside of me, and stick in and out and play on my edges, and knife deep into the center of my gut, knife deep into the bottom of my eyelids, knife deep into the lips of my cunt. It is the night of the first night, and the breathing is hard, and more hard, and becomes harder, and more hard. No more whisper, Teresa, not now. Not in this time, and the sparrows die, and the scarecrows are carved in flesh. No more. Not now. It is the second night, and the breathing is hard, and it is hard and stays harder, is hard and stays more hard, is hard and stays driving me hard, no breathing. And this time my body rolls and heaves. This time I am breathing oceans and fiery storms, and I am rolling hard. This time I am breathing and rolling hard, and my edges are hardening. Teresa, what a lovely day. Teresa, some tea in the pot, Teresa. What a lovely day. The third night, where silence has crept in, and your arms reaching into the silence of my walls and into the silence of my barriers. Teresa, what a lovely day. Some tea, Teresa. Teresa, some tea, Teresa. What a lovely day. The fourth night has come, Teresa, and the silence is soft, and the softness is silent. I cannot breathe. I am breathless, I cannot breathe. Teresa, what a lovely day. Oh, Teresa, what a lovely day. Some tea, Teresa, some tea, Teresa. What a lovely day, some tea, Teresa. The fifth day. No silence, no sound, no murmur, no sign, no body, no wind, no movement, no voices. Barefoot, untouched, Teresa. Some tea, what a lovely day, Teresa. Teresa, some tea, what a lovely day. Some tea, Teresa. The fifth night came, breathing hard over our edges, and ravished our child, Teresa. What a lovely day, Teresa. What a nice child. What a nice child, Teresa. Teresa. She was conceived in silence, Teresa. She was conceived in silence, and she is ours, Teresa. She is mine. Teresa, the silence is mine. Teresa, the conception is mine, Teresa. She was conceived in thunder, Teresa. She was conceived in thunder. She is ours now, Teresa. She is mine now. As the darkness is to you, the thunder is to me. She is from silence, and she is from death. Teresa, she is dead. Her child is dead. She has died, and she have death. She have death, and it took her to a private place. Conceived of purple and of sun, our child is dead. Conceived of silence, conceived in puncture and in death, our child is dying, and our child is dead. Death will be dead from now on. This is the new era. Death will be dead from now on. This is the new time. Death will be dead from now on. This is the new message. Death will be death from now on. Death will be death from now on. A child comes up to me and says, "Where's my banana? No longer blonde child, no longer black child, no longer angel beak. This one child like me, and where's his bananas?" As if I know, as if any of us knows. So what to say to the idiot kid but take your goat face and die in its curd, and the kid does. And we bury the child next to the kid the next day, and under the stream of running red ambrosia. No nectar, it ain't no nectar. Death will be death from now on. There is no way to rub a body with half-dried dung and stop the holes from filling. I oiled the green flesh, rubbed the dung into crotch and armpit until there weren't no skin left hanging, no dung left unpolluted. I saw the bodies under the banana graves, under the monkey graves, under the men graves, under the hair graves, under the tree graves, under the peanut graves, under the whore graves, under the angel graves where the ambrosia used to flow, under the sugar graves, under the ink graves, under the wind graves, under the bottle graves, under the cherry graves, under the feces graves, under the rat graves, under the mold graves, under the womb graves, under the soap graves, under the jewel graves, under the breast graves, under the cattle graves, under the child graves, under the river graves, under the puke graves, under the seaweed graves, that is to say, under the child graves. Ain't no nectar no more. Take it out and ain't no juice left, ain't no reason for staying there, ain't no saint urinating his nectar, there ain't no reason. Please remove the dagger, please take it out, please, please. I don't remember no Latin, please my peanut tree grows ugly olives, please my willow weeps shit. What more proof of sanctity, what else? What will you see that will make you tremble? It's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. It's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. It's cold, bubbles of cold on the edges of the windows, and the windows cracking, to let the slivers of light penetrate the candle light, to let the slivers of light become cold and knife the air, to let the slivers of cold freeze in the sky between the window and the room, plus no more saint in my backyard, send them away. I've had it. They're idiots. Everyone. Idiots and madmen idiots. I'm a country, and I'm calling. Send my idiots to the bottom of the sea. Send my madmen to the bottom of the sea, to the bottom of some other sea, and have them fornicate for some other reason, in some other voice, in some other way, with some other partner. I can tell you, I've had it with your saints and your idiots and your madmen. One yesterday told me I was Jesus' whore. And I said, in no uncertain terms, I said, Jesus ain't got no whores, young man. Jesus was a virgin, and your idiot saint. Indeed, saint, your idiot madman began laughing, the laughing, what all your idiots do, laughing, belly laughing, toe laughing, armpit laughing, crotch laughing, all the thunders of sound. Don't give me no light, no pain, no insanity, no moons, no weeds, no dirt. Don't none of it. So that I could stand here and laugh, the laugh of my child, beautiful child, blue eyes, blue teeth, blue skin, blue gums, blue nose, blue mucus, blue neck, blue bones, blue breasts, blue sweat, blue stomach, blue intestines, blue vagina, blue afterbirth, blue umbilical cord. Oh, my beautiful blue child. I took her to meet Teresa, took her up in the circles and down the circles and inside the circles and outside the circles, took her up and down and inside and outside, took her to meet Teresa. And Teresa said to her, told her and spoke words to her, and then I knew about Teresa and saw her words, her swords, the word that caused, oh, my beautiful blue child, to look up in glory and in praise and say, she is that she is, and spit upon the hems of her robes, spit blood on the hems of her robes, and I knew that she was lost to me. And then Teresa stopped the words and pulled out her penis and ripped into my old beautiful blue child, wiped back her spit with her tongue, and moved her rivers to the penis, and I begged them to stop. Oh, my beautiful blue child, kissed with all the full fury of her rivers. Oh, my beautiful blue child, come back to me. Come back to me, and love the hems of my naked body. Come back to me, and taste the new nectar of my breast, and drink the new nectar of my condom, a beautiful blue child. The nectar is from my breast to yours. Tear your teeth into the hems of my eyes. And into the hems of my mouth, and into the hems of my flat places, my beautiful blue child. Tear your fingers into the waves of my flesh, and into the deserts of my breaths. Oh, my beautiful blue child. Eat my body bare. There is water for washing, and touch for loving, Teresa. There is still the whisper in the wind. Don't laugh. Don't laugh, Teresa. And watch my lava pour over her face and leave her touched and bleeding.